Right, on with the rebuilding of the engine, or dismantling as we are at the moment still. And now we come into the timing case, and we're going to be removing that. So the first thing we're going to do is to take off the points cover here, and then I'm assuming it's points under there, I don't know yet, but I'm assuming it is, and then we'll be removing the points, all the points mechanism, advance and retard unit ready, because we need to take all that off first before we can then remove the timing casing. So I'll undo these three screws, which are these are replacement Allen headed, they all are replacements, and then we'll see what we've got underneath there and take it from there. Okay, so we'll remove these Allen screws holding the advance and retard points cover on. I've dropped it somewhere. I've dropped it without dropping it. What's going on? It's still in there. It's still on the end of the Mega Blaster. Right, let's have it. Yeah, we've got points. Interesting. Right, okay, so we're going to remove the points, and then we're going to remove the advance and retard mechanism. So we've got these three pillar bolts, and we need to remove those to take out the advance and retard mechanism. I'm not sure. I know that they're a pretty weird size. I think that they're sort of BA bolts in here, but it's fitting a quarter AF spanner is fitting, so that's good. I think they're BA threads, but don't quote me on that. Yeah, I mean, this is just my opinion, okay, so don't set much store by it, but the problem I have with points is that they run fine. Once they're adjusted, they run fine, but they are simply not as efficient as electronic ignition. That's just basically a fact, but they'll still run okay if they're well looked after. But the problem I have is that you have to adjust each set of points separately. And I think, well, this is purely my opinion, that what tends to happen is that one set of points might slip out of adjustment, but because there's three, because it's a triple, you don't notice so much, because the engine's like powerful enough, you don't really notice that one slipped a bit. And so it starts running, there's one cylinder running out of time with the others, and that can lead to problems, and occasionally you'll get a whole piston. Now, I think, although I may be wrong, I think that certainly one reason for getting a whole piston is because one of the points has slipped and it's out of time, and so that cylinder's running too hot. As it slips, perhaps it's running, retarded a bit, and that's what causes the piston to burn a hole. I couldn't say that for definite, but I think that's certainly got something to do with it. Right, let me remember. I haven't dealt with points for so long I can't remember. Now I have to undo the other screws to get this off. They're all the lock screws. And then we've got the advanced retard mechanism. But I think the advanced retard mechanism is separate to the points. So yeah, I'm sure it is. So the advanced retard mechanism we're taking off separate, which we'll come to, but we've got to take the points off. But as far as I remember, the points should now come off. So I will immediately go off camera because I'm too embarrassed and work out how to get the points out. Right, I have got the contact breaker. I've got it loose now. It was just completely jammed on. There was nothing. Nothing holding it on. It's held on by those three pillar bolts, but it's been like that for so long that it was just like rusted or whatever in place, and it just didn't want to come off. So it should have just fallen out. Anyway, it's off now after a little bit of persuasion. Oops. So right, okay, so that's off, and where is it? So and this is the wire that goes with it up to the coils and so on, and we'll feed that out when we get the casing off. We'll then feed that wire out, get it out of the way. But we'll leave it there for now because it's not doing any harm. So then, I don't know if you can see this. This is the advance and retard mechanism. I don't know if you can see that. So as the engine speed increases, you've got the bob weights there, and that automatically advances the timing as the engine gets faster. Now, to get this off, you need to. This is interference fit on the end of the camshaft, the advance retard mechanism, and this is the bolt that like goes into the camshaft. And so the first thing we need to do is to remove that bolt. It's a 7/16. So hopefully the shock of this should just, it's typical, it's come off. Okay, well let's pretend it's not come off. So it should be jammed pretty tight on the end of the camshaft. We take out the mounting bolt. We then get a thicker bolt, which I did have. Put that on. Gordon Bennett. Put it down somewhere now. Up there it is. Right. We then get a slightly larger diameter bolt. This is a 1/2 inch, that's 7/16. Okay. And this bolt, there's a threaded section in the end of the advance and retard, but this bolt is thin enough to miss that and goes down and screws into the actual camshaft. This bolt is thicker, so it actually goes into the threaded part of the advance and retard unit. So we screw that in until it pushes against the end of the camshaft, which it will do when it's in. There we go. And then we just give it a slight tap. In this case it's already loose, but we give it a slight tap and that will free it off, and then off it comes from the end of the camshaft. Okay, because it's an interference taper fit in the end of the exhaust camshaft. So, and with a bit more palaver than I was anticipating, that's the units are off, but only because the advance and retard, the points plate was completely like solid in that, just didn't want to come off. No, I'm not even going to bother doing that. I'm going to leave that plate there because famous last words, it shouldn't be in our way, it shouldn't be. Right, so now what we're going to do, so now we're going to remove the actual timing cover. So we've got all Allen keys, and we're going to just go around and loosen those. Pretty tight, some of them. It's okay. The iconic shape of the Trident timing cover, fantastic. Different to the Rocket 3s because they've got a weird sort of gearbox cover that goes over the timing case. But that's the iconic shape of the Trident timing case. I'll put the drip tray there. Yeah, that one didn't want to come out, did it? I always just loosen them a bit first if I can. I don't think it really matters, but just to try and stop any potential warping of the case. You know, you've got one side of the case fully tightened and the other side loose. It's not great. So yeah, longer. I think there's these 3 longer ones at the bottom, if I remember. 2, 3, yeah. And then back to the short one. yeah, so I mean, I suppose if you're being dead careful, you like remove alternate ones or something, but I think that's maybe going a bit too far. Right, now, so we've done that. We've got the drip tray. What I'm going to do, oh yeah, I've got the points, but never mind. I'm going to use the, I'm going to heat up the casing, the joint, in the hope that that will free up the gasket goo. Because if it is a non-hardening gasket goo that's been used, as we said before, then heating it up helps to re-liquefy it, and then it lets go. It lets go a lot easier. So if it's something like well seal, if you use well seal, you can't get this case off. Heat it up and it'll just fall off. Seriously, it's amazing. But I'm not, obviously I don't know what gasket cement has been used on this, but it's not going to do any harm whatever to heat this joint up, so might as well. I'll probably edit a bit of this out because I'm going to be doing this for a while. Okay, we've heated the case now, the joint, and what I've done is I've gone round the casing and I've been looking to see if there's any slight overlap of the case against the crankcases, because of course this case is actually very difficult to remove because you can't get behind it, there's nothing to hang on to. But I've gone round it and I've discovered that there's a very, very slight lip here. You see, it's just sitting proud. So I'm going to try and hit there. I don't know the case is sitting proud anywhere else, but there it's just like 1/2 mil proud. So I'm going to tap that and see if that will give us any joy. Just check I have got all the, yeah, got all the bolts out. Okay, here we go. Yep. Oil coming out of the case, so I can pull this wire through a bit. It doesn't want to be coming out. Come out wire. There we go. And that's the casing removed. Oil on the bottom, pretty gungy. And I'll see if I can feed the rest of the wires through. This is from the contact breakers. So, don't know if I can, because of course it's always the bullets at the end that are the problem. Right, there we go. I've managed to pull the wire out through the crankcase and then through the timing case where it exits into the points housing. So that's the outer timing cover off. Normal, looks okay. Normal black oily gunge in the bottom, and here we have the timing chest and timing case. We've got the alternator, which is the stator and the rotor, and then we've got the cam gears behind that. So now we're in. I'm going to have a bit of a tidy up, bag and tag, get things straight a bit, clean things up a bit, and then we'll be removing the stator and the rotor first, and then the various gears that drive the two camshafts. Okay.